Aberfan, South Wales, where 144 were killed one October morning in 1966. A catastrophic landslide of coal waste had engulfed their primary school, claiming the lives of 116 children, most under 10 years old.
I couldn't move. That's all I could hear was shouts and screams within the class. Those shouts and screams in the classroom got less and less as time went on.
Jeff Edwards, then 8, was the last child to come out of the school alive.
The disaster occurred on the 21st of October. My birthday is on the 13th of November, where usually I would have had dozens of kids coming to my birthday party. There were no longer those children around.
The day after their tour of Sussex, they were driving into the stricken village of Aberfan.
I wasn't in the village when the Queen made her visit 9 days after the disaster. I was still in hospital.
For this royal visit, no pomp, no circumstance. The Queen and her husband came as parents with a family of their own. And as they talked with the bereaved, the bond of parenthood created an immediate and intimate understanding.
But I do recall from relatives of my family that she made the visit up to the cemetery and was really upset by what she had seen up there.
Not all the pictures, all the publicity, all the statistics could blunt the shock of actually walking through these shattered streets.
I think what tipped her over the balance was a posy of flowers that was given to her by Councillor Jim Williams' granddaughter from the survivors of Aberfan. And she was obviously visibly upset by that, and really had to go into Jim Williams' house, who lived on a house on the hill up to the cemetery, to really recompose herself before going on to meet bereaved families. The impact on her was huge.
In times of crisis, it's been said, the role of the royal family becomes clearer as figures of reassurance, steeped in the history of national emergencies or tragedies.
She went to Tilbury as well during her prolonged tour of places in Essex and Kent that had suffered severely in the great disaster.
There were moments shared off camera with families of the 16 children and their teacher killed in the Dunblane shootings.
A heartache felt by the Queen as with tears in her eyes she listened at a private meeting to the agonies of parents who lost their little ones.
Public expressions too of measured, collective defiance, here in the wake of the 7/7 London bombings in which 52 people were killed.
I want to express my admiration for the people of our capital city who, in the aftermath of yesterday's bombings, are calmly determined to resume their normal lives. That is the answer to this outrage.
She was extraordinary in these disasters and traumatic occasions. It was, again, all very quiet, and it was almost as if she was there as a mother and a parent, and a grandparent, to sympathise with people who'd lost or suffered. Nothing contrived about it at all. And she always trod that fine line between breaking down, which must have been quite hard not to do in certain circumstances, and showing maximum sympathy and empathy. And I have to say, I think most people feel this, that if you woke up in bed one day and you were involved in an accident, you want to see her rather than certain prime ministers one can think of. All prime ministers, actually. She's the one person who perhaps you would want from outside. And that's a great tribute to her, really. And I think most people felt that. And she did it with understated grace and sympathy, always, without fail.
After the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, however, many questioned that ability. Royal protocol appeared to clash awkwardly with public emotion in a changing Britain. The ensuing criticism certainly jarred with the broader experience of a monarch here with young survivors of the Manchester Arena bombing.
You had enjoyed the concert, presumably?
Yeah, it was really good.
Was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet her before the concert as well. She was lovely.
Really?
Yeah.
Admired for her delicate approach in moments like these.
Bright blue eyes. The brightest blue eyes I think I've ever seen.
In June 2017, Rihanna Levi met the Queen at an emergency rest centre near London's Grenfell Tower.
It wasn't a tear, but the compassion in her eyes, I felt like she wanted to cry.
The 17-year-old had to leave her flat. She'd watched in horror as a fire engulfed the neighbouring tower block, killing 72 people.
And then I remember she asked, was I there on the night? Where was I?
Yeah, I live right in front of it. We were evacuated about 1 o'clock. The flames were just unbelievable. It's like a movie.
Even though I was in shock, I still felt comfortable. I felt happy to talk to her. And it was still this sadness, but this feeling of we're not alone, and that the world has seen what's going on here and we're being acknowledged. So I think the Queen coming, it definitely gave us a voice and gave us a light.
As a nation, we are rightly proud of our armed forces. That pride has been fully justified by their conduct in the Gulf War so far.
On rare occasions, there would be special addresses to the nation too, once memorably during the COVID pandemic, where the echo of solidarity in wartime Britain was as well received as it was deftly pitched.
We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
In Aberfan, they met again. Three times the Queen returned, on the last occasion opening the new school. Beside her, Jeff Edwards, the last child pulled out alive from the rubble of the Aberfan disaster, and later council leader, MBE and High Sheriff. How do you think your generation in Aberfan, the survivors' generation, will remember the Queen?
As a person who showed great interest in the community, a person who invested in the community in terms of young people through her personal contribution to the community, a person who had great dignity and respect of everyone, a person who was committed to public service, and one whose interest in the community extended throughout the whole of her reign. And hopefully that will continue with the Prince of Wales.